So the night before the Dublin Marathon back in 2023, wasn't feeling great, feeling down on myself, didn't feel the best, and I got an email late that night, and it was from the Neill challenge and being like, Seán, unfortunately, you didn't get in. I didn't feel unfortunate. I felt delighted. I was like, thank God, I tried my best. I didn't get in. But today's guest on the podcast has not only got that email this year to say she got in, it'll be her fourth time doing it. And last year when she did it, she finished it in 11 hours and 58 minutes. To put that in context, I was somewhere lost in the mountains still for the next couple of hours after that. So we welcome Ciara Smullen to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday Podcast. Ciara, how are you getting on?
Hi Seán, how are you?
I
I
don't
actually
even.
did get that email as well, but I had got it the first time saying, no, no luck this time.
Oh, and you got in anyway.
And I got in the second round of stuff. So the first, yeah, I woke up the morning of the marathon, looked at my phone, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Appreciate the honesty of this one,
Yeah.
Ciara. But you're doing it with your family this time, so it's a little bit different for the fourth time round.
It's a little bit different for the fourth time round. Yeah, yeah. So I put my name in the hat like I have done the last few years and didn't get called, but my brother got picked. And then in the second round, my sister got picked, and then yeah, I got an email saying your spot's there if you want it. So yeah, the three of us are in, and the three of us are going up now next
So,
Friday to give it a bash.
Ciara,
Brilliant.
would the three of yous play Monopoly together at Christmas?
No, we don't play board games.
So, like, would you not kill each other doing this monstrous event?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you,
There's a bit of an aspect of that. We keep teasing John, saying the his endurance bit is putting up with me and Neve for the 11 hours or so that it'll be out there. So
Because, like, I'd be saying, see you later to Seán. Now, when we talk about this event, that would be no problem. But Seán went a completely different direction to every other competitor at the start of the race last year. So he was off to a great night. But how as a family have you managed to convince each other to take this challenge on?
I don't know. I blame John. He did it a number of years ago and said to us, "Oh, sure, look, put your name in it. It's a draw. It's random. It's a lotto. It's hard to get." So in back in I think it was 2019, 2020. Yeah, I threw my name in the hat and I was the only one that got pulled out. So I've been putting my name in ever since and I keep getting pulled out.
but I know you recently you've done like 46K the Eco Trail in Wicklow, you've done 50K Port Dumna races. Had you done anything like I know with Yard Neil is a completely different beast, but had you done endurance races up to this point before doing the Yard Neil for the first time?
Not before the first time I did that. No, and the first time I did it, I actually trekked it. I walked the whole thing. So that was horrid. Like it's so long. I just like whatever running it or the hybrid, the walk. Fair play to anybody going out to walk that. Like it's 15 plus hours. Like
It's a long
Jeez.
old day. Well,
Mm,
it's a long old night.
it's
mm.
long, it's slow, it's in your just
Seán, you
trudging
tried
through
to
it.
walk it. You tried to walk it, didn't you?
I tried doing circles. I thought it'd be a lot of fun doing circles.
Not so much practice it.
No, absolutely not. And we'll go through it in different stages, but I have to get it this out of the way real quick. How did you find the navigation? Like I got from like checkpoint one to checkpoint two. I was doing okay. I had 4 hours to get to the next checkpoint, and I think it's something like maybe 10K away or something like that. So 10, 12K.
Yeah.
I haven't got the figures right in front of me. So it's not that far to do in 4 hours. You could walk 4 hours if you know where you're going. I did
Lost.
not. And I was completely lost. And like you've done this three times. Is this a case where it's not really a navigation challenge for you? And like the first time doing it, was it like were you overwhelmed with the navigation or have you experienced doing that?
Yeah, so the first time I did it, they used to actually guide you from checkpoint one. So there used to
Ah.
be the mountain rescue it was an option. So I trekked. So if you were a trekker, you could opt in to go with a guide, and he would guide you or she would guide you across the mountain section. So that's what I did the first time. and it was quite helpful. Like I didn't breeze what I was doing, but after that, then I did a mountain skills course with Cormac from FIA Mountaineering. So that gave me a little bit of just a bit of confidence, just how to use the compass, how to read a map, those basic skills that are necessary for something like this, Seán.
Yeah, Seán saying,
Exclamation
like he
point!
knows what you're talking about.
This is why you're on the podcast for the build, because I was like, people always, this is one of the big events of the year, I think. And it was like, we'll do a preview for it this year. And I was like, I can't be talking about a preview because unless you want to do everything wrong, then listen to me for this challenge. So it's all on you this episode, Ciara. So the second time when you start reading the navigation skills, it was a lot easier for you. Did you ever change your, because I know you can have different options. And for example, last year, like the weather was horrific, and they were like, go left for the river. Oh, it was I still have people to this day talk to me like, how, like seeing my stories of being lost, like how were you out and that? I was driving home and like the motorways were flooded and stuff, and how did you do? Like I don't know, I was just stuck and I had no choice. But did you take different directions and stuff each time because of the weather, or was it just this is my path, I'm going with it?
Yeah, no, I didn't change it on the night. I went, yeah, recce is so important. Like, I have to get out and get a feel of where you're at and what the ground is like, and oh, that's that little fence there, and this is this. So I didn't want to change it on the night. I wanted to go with what I practiced. So yeah, I wasn't going off the other direction where I know they recommended it because it wasn't, the river wasn't that crossing, but. No, I had to cross the river now at a different point than I intended to because and it was a bit of walking up and down to see where it was safer. But no, I stuck with what I had planned to do, and yeah, I just stuck with that. I just didn't want to go messing with it, Didn't want to end up what you were doing.
Yeah, well, I kept changing my plans throughout the night, and that's why I did not finish among a plethora of different reasons. But going back to the very start, like I suppose your training leading up to it now, you talk about your mountaineering skills and stuff like that. Are you just like, is it a recce and then just building up your mileage towards doing an event like this, or obviously it's a bit late for people now listening, but people listening to this and after the podcast being like, that's something I want to put my name into the hat for next year. What kind of training tips would you have for those people?
Oh, get out into the hills. Like it's the only thing. Like, the road is the road, but you know yourself, even that road starts to climb pretty quickly as soon as you hit out of that down up to Bohan Arena. Like it's dark, it's hilly, you can walk that. There's no shame in walking those hills.
It's incredibly steep.
It's very, very steep, and that's what I just try and walk the hills, conserve a bit of energy, but get out into the hills and just do those recce's. Checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2, checkpoint 2 over to table track and back. Those kind of things. Just you can't do it enough times. You'll go a different way every single time as well. It's different conditions and everything. So it's just to give yourself a little bit of confidence kind of going into it. You wouldn't want to be hitting that hill for the first time on the night.
I completely agree with you. Speaking of energy, so the race itself, for people who don't know, it starts at Dublin Castle, starts at 11 o'clock at night, and then you're pretty much going through the night, through the dark. That's pretty much their catchphrase. How do you set yourself up for that day? So what I did, I remember having like forced myself to have a nap around 4 or 5, 6, whatever it was. I remember I try and get some sleep for an hour and a half or stuff, and I just felt like mad groggy and sleepy. And I remember even when I got there, I lost something. I can't remember what it was. Something really important that I remember losing and not knowing where it was. And I remember like I got a compass that day because I was so prepared. And I remember like opening it up and like literally slitting my finger. And like the next like 20 minutes just having my finger over the sink and blood pouring out. And I'm like everything wrong I did wrong that day. How do you prep on the day of that event knowing you're going to be going through the night and sleep deprivation and making wrong decisions and all the rest? Do you just power through, or do you try and get a bit of sleep during the day, or it's like, no, I got to work and just I have to go that evening, that's it?
No, I try and get a bit of rest. So I'd have all the prep done the kit packed, all that's done the day before, a few days before, probably a week before. It's all packed away. It's all ready to go. Everything, I know where everything is. Everything's labeled. Just get it organized. So it's one less thing to worry about. Check off the kit list. Do all those things that can be done. Don't need to be left until the last minute. And the day, eat, sleep for a little bit. Even just to put the feet up. Like I have 2 kids, like so. You can't always get that bit of sleep. Knocking on the door. So try and get some kind of rest. And then I'd wake up, like pretend I'm having my breakfast, have the coffee, have a breakfast type of meal, and then head up. Yeah. So definitely try and get some kind of rest.
Smart.
Oh, well, it does make sense. And it's something we learned in our times, different bits of training, like any sort of like, people laugh at me now, like I'm the king napper, because I'll go in and I'll get 20 minutes. Like, why are you bothering going for 20 minutes? It's like every 20 minutes of sleep is a benefit. It's another little benefit. It's another little, and that's why that day, Seán, I was like, try and get some sleep. And you're probably not the most functional after a nap now, to be honest. So in Seán's case, I don't think anything's going to help him, to be honest. But
Thanks.
It is true what they say about that. The little bit of rest before, it makes every bit of difference in the 9th hour, in the 10th hour, in the 11th hour, and that's when it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I would. Pro nap. I am pro nap.
Speaking of having your gear and stuff packed out the week and stuff beforehand, is there anything, let's say year 1 you had, or you wish you had, that you brought to year 2 and year 3?
No, I probably overdid it on year 1. I probably put everything and anything in the bag, and it's heavy and it's weighty, and then you're carrying it too much stuff. No, I don't think. I think I packed well enough. Like I always pack an extra couple of layers. I changed the gear, my road gear, say. I changed that completely then at the first at Pure, like last year, because it was soaked. You know yourself, you were soaked to the skin. There was no amount of waterproofs that were going to keep that out. And then changed completely, whole new set of gear, felt great, and went into a hole about 500 meters after changing, and was wet then for the rest of the day, the rest of the night. So all good intentions.
I wasn't expecting how. I knew I was going to go into a field, but I just remember one stage, just my foot just plonking down to something, and I went up to knee height, and like, so much for changing. Now I was glad to get out of the wet clothes, but oh my god, I was just like straight into it again.
Straight in it, yeah. That bit from Capure that you can't recce, the bit from Capure out onto the bit of road then before you get to checkpoint 1. Like I expected that to be some kind of like a little stony trail, maybe something nicely laid out for us. No, it was trudging through a field. It was horrible.
It's so I must have been like with a load of people, but I didn't find the navigation part that hard. I think I don't know if it's signposts at that stage. I think it's
three little flags. I think they had up. Yeah.
So that's it. So people listening doing it for the first time, it's easy to get from that point to checkpoint 1 because I did it. But it's just that foot going like it's so moshy, I suppose. It's just so deep.
It's real. Yeah.
You change your runners then? Do you have boots for that stage or?
No, I just put on trail runners then. So I had road runners on for the road, and then I changed into trail runners. Because the last section is all on road. That last 5K is from that car park right into Glenmalure. I did not want to be wearing boots. They'd be like concrete blocks on my feet trying to move. Like, so no, I put the runners on and slipped my way down to Glenmalure.
Extra layer to a socks. So I remember wishing that, like, more than anything else, my ankles were freezing. I'm like, I wish I just had boots or extra clear pair of socks right now. And that was
waterproof socks, Seán. Waterproof socks.
There we go, gear. If you're listening, waterproof socks. Another thing I did not do during that stage. But we'll go back to
changer.
We'll go back to the very start. It's 11 o'clock. It's Dublin Castle. It's starting to build up. The anticipation is there. And it is the most surreal thing when you leave that, because unlike other events, like if you go to Dublin Marathon, people around know Dublin Marathon's going on. But because everyone kind of like comes to double cast at a different time, inside the castle, you always know what's going on. But I never forget leaving, turning the corner. And before I went the wrong way to everyone else, I remember like going past like restaurants and stuff and just seeing like just people looking outside going, what the hell is going on here? Or just people walking up and just seeing like, I can't even remember how many people, it must have been close to 200 people coming down the main street and going, what's going on? People are half cut. Yeah. People are half cut leaving bars early and going, what am I looking at here?
High fiving as you go.
How are you feeling at that stage you get started? Like,
oh, it's so exciting. That bit's great. Like such a little buzz. Like you're like, you know what you're in for now. We'll see you then tomorrow morning. Like it's something special about it now. And you're coming out like that. Everyone's falling out of the pubs and looking at you as if, where are they off to? Like, and you the whole gear, the high vis, the head torch on, the pack on the back, like you look like you're out for the week, like. But yeah, it's a good buzz, and it's nice having you see all the little lights twinkling heading down the road, and I'm just plodding around at the back there, just letting them all go on.
Ciara, you've done a little bit of long distance and a lot of trails. What's your strategy for that road part? Because from what I've seen in parts, that's where people try and set the pace for themselves, try and get out early, get ahead of the crowds. What is your strategy, or what's your advice for people in that first segment? Is it keep that jog on because that's where you make up the time, and as you said, once you hit the hills, then bring it back, or what's your strategy, or a strategy that you've tried because you've done it so many times?
Yeah, well, unless you're like Ellen Vitting or Ricky Wynn, gonna blitz this thing, just pull it back, just conserve your energy. I just find that works best for me anyway. I don't be trying to make up. This isn't about time. This is about shared suffering of all of us in it together. We're just getting through it, getting through the night, and there's something special about that. It's not about beating a time or, well, for some people it will be, but for me, it's definitely, take it easy. Take it easy.
Now it's 11 hours and 48 or so minutes and possibly a little bit better weather. Will you be trying to beat your time?
Well, there's always that aspect. You're like, oh, you say you don't. Like, I was on a recce with my brother there last week, and I was like, Jesus, we did that in half an hour quicker this time than we did and he's the same. So I thought it wasn't about the time. I was like, well, it's not, but it's nice.
You still have the chip on.
But I wouldn't be chasing it. Like, I'm not chasing it. It's just a nice bonus, I suppose, if you can finish a little bit earlier.
I was so surprised at the start. I remember just being downstairs and just taking it all in, whatever, and looking around and seeing the amount of people which looked like they were in their alpha flies and their carbon fiber shoes, the first 25K, and I'm like, what have I got myself into here? I thought this was just a jog hike for the first 25K, and it's flat enough but not like super speedy, and there was people all setting up as if they were heading out to like the half marathon in the Phoenix Park, and I'm like, what is going on here?
It's mad, but they're the people, like, not all of them obviously, but I remember one year the checkpoint 1 used to always be in Capure. It used to be at where the checkpoint 1 is now, if that makes any sense, where at the forest, the entrance to the forest. And so you'd have to get out of your gear in the cold. Like, there was no indoor space to do that. But there was a fella like huddled by the fire, shook, ultra written on him, like just like this, just in bits. And I always think, I was like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy who blew up, who went out too hard and now is dying, and he hasn't even, he's only just done the road. Like, so I always have him, the poor guy. I don't know who he was, but I always have him in my head. But just take it easy. Take it easy.
There's two options for you, Neill. One of them is the pursuit. The one's the challenge, and that's the full thing you're doing. One's pursuit is a 25K just to Capure, and that's when it stops. And that never appealed to me just because of the navigation, the real challenge, the real going through the night. Except when I got to 25K and I heard the buzz and stuff, and people were having pints and all the rest, and I was just like, well, actually, I think by the time I got there, that bar was closed because it was well past last orders. I just hearing all that, and I was like, I think I would like to be finished now. Now I was soaked to the skin. It took me, like they say, get in and get out of there fairly quick. I think just because of how soaked to the skin I was, it took me like 40 minutes to get out of my
Takes
clothes.
a
And
while to get out of the wet gear. Yeah.
yeah. Did you find that
Yeah.
last year, or was that just an abnormal year to other years at that stage?
Yeah, well, it was exceptionally wet, but yeah, like last year. Funny you say that about wishing you stopped. My sister actually did the pursuit last year. Now she actually ended up coming second female, so she did
Oh
amazing.
wow.
But yeah, but she had the opposite. She saw when she waited for me to come in, helped me get sorted, so that was nice. And then she saw me off, and she said she was very jealous that I was heading off for an adventure and she was getting to go home. But no, when she got into her car, I'm sure she was like, "Thank God."
Uh,
But that is still she's doing it now with me this year, so it'll be she'll see herself when she gets to compare how she actually feels. But yeah, there's comfort in that, seeing all the bodies, all the people
mm,
inside. It's not really lonely. There's a lot of buzz around, so that's lovely
yeah,
to come into that.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of buzz and people are talking and stuff. And one of the guys who did a podcast before, Marky does trails. He's doing it this year, and he did it. He did the pursuit last year. He's been trying for years to get in. I think he did like a picture of a pint or something at the end of the pursuit and being like, "Good job." And for some reason, I just couldn't mobilize to go back. I was like quickly scrolling through Instagram or answering a couple things, whatever, and I just saw that. I was like, I could be done. I could. What am I doing? What am I doing? Putting
Could be
myself out
done.
there.
It would be fun. It would be fun. You're missing the fun part.
That's it. Yeah, no, I haven't said that. I know for sure that if I did the pursuit and I couldn't do it to full, I was like, I wish I was still going. I wish I had more tank to keep going out there. But we talked about already. We've got Kapur. You're going through all that mosh. I don't even know the right word to describe it to get towards checkpoint one, and then after that, there's a bit of up and down in trails if I remember right. But then from checkpoint one to checkpoint two is where the navigation really begins, and you're 40. Are you 42? No, you're not. You're the 42,
No, you're not
43
that
K
far
is a
yet.
that's checkpoint two, I think.
That's about
So
checkpoint two. Is about that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's only is it 4 or 5 K between checkpoint one, checkpoint two, or something silly, or I have that
In
there.
checkpoint one and checkpoint two, it's about 11K.
So yeah, it's sorry, it's 31K at checkpoint one, and then checkpoint two is the 43K mark there. Which just looking at your times there, you did it in roughly 3 hours. I was out
Yeah,
there for
sounds
six,
about
seven
right.
hours, and this was the end game for me. First part of it, everyone goes the same way. You come
Same
into a
way. Only one
field,
way to go. Yeah.
and then you come into a massive field, and from what I could see, because it was obviously bad dark, there seemed to be a hill in the way. You can either go really far left or really far right. And I decided for some reason I wanted to go right. And I ended up going around, I'd say 500 meters in. And I turned around and realized I'd gone in the middle. And I looked and I saw people to my left. I saw people to my right. And then that's when the wheels fell off of me. When you get to that stage, what do you do more importantly? Because don't listen to me.
It's very disorientating when you get up there and you see the torches, and some are gone
Mm.
to the left, some are gone to the right, some are gone in the middle, and you're like, oh Jesus, should we go? Should we go that way? Should I go this way? Just stick to what. Now I know you didn't practice, but stick to what you just stick to what your map is saying. Stick to what your watch is saying. Like use. I know you were saying you had the hiker app that you didn't open, so that would have saved you all of that heartache.
The really annoying thing about that is I'd only done, of course, last minute, I'd only done the hiker app that day. And whatever way I was searching on it, I went for my nap, woke up from my nap, and one of the guys who runs it, was just like, "Oh, I assume you're doing the Arthur Neill challenge that night because who else is searching that on the Friday before? Go for a hike." He's like, you won't get that for you won't the free plan. You won't get whatever the detail it was. Here's 1 month or whatever it was to the full plan.
Sound,
So
yeah.
so I had the whole map
Hold on a
on
minute.
my phone.
You got a free map
Yeah, I didn't ask for none of that. So I got the whole thing. But this was 7, 8
and you
o'clock when I
never
was trying to get.
used it.
Well, this was 7, 8 o'clock that night. I didn't know my way around it. I just gotten it that day. Your man had done me a favor, but I didn't know my way of using it. And yeah, I could have. And like in the middle of the night, then so by the time you took your phone out, you couldn't read your phone right because like it was lashing that much. Like I remember looking at, I remember I kept going in circles, and this I remember hearing this before. I probably mentioned when I was talking on the podcast that like if it's pitch dark and you start walking, you will end up walking in a circle. I'm like, no, I know how to walk straight. Like I've walked straight for 35 years and how to walk straight. But I got to the point out there when I was out there by myself, and I was like, I'm definitely doing circles. I'm definitely doing circles. So I had to open the Google Maps and just see that dot going further south. And then I was walking, I was like, why does it keep turning? Why is it not turning? And then I had a compass next to the phone, and seeing me with a compass next to the phone, that can affect the compass.
It'll affect us, yeah.
All these things, all these mistakes I made in the middle of the night in the worst weather of probably that entire year.
That's nasty. Yeah, but that app would have saved you. You can open it up and then like if you use it, like press, there's a little button at the bottom, a little circle. If you press that, it'll give you your live location, exactly where you are in relation to the map. So it's helpful as a tool. Like I wouldn't totally rely on it, but if you're like that, doubting where you are, or am I near the forest, or am I near this, it'll tell you. It'll tell you exactly where you are. And you're like, oh, I'm actually off line here, or actually I'm going left when I should have been going right. So I find it really, really useful.
I knew when the maps where trees were supposed to be and all the rest, and just keep left of this and next to that. But once you're out there, once you get disorientated once, it's game over. You're not seeing anything.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to keep your head right and not kind of panic. Like it's very easy to panic.
Yep. Actually, no, I was too stupid to panic. I was like, but you get that that security bag. What's this security bag? The technical term for it. It's a big
the little bivy bag thing.
Yeah, and because you got the tracker on you, so yeah, like if they see you're not moving for ages, like I'm assuming they come and find you at some stage. I'm like, I wonder if I just stuck myself in the bag and just lay in the field, like how long would it be that someone come and collect me? And that did cross my mind. I was like, I just keep walking circles for a couple of hours and keep going from there.
Yeah, and like to be honest, that's sometimes when the going gets rough out there, and you're like, oh God, this is hard, or Jesus, where are we? And you feel like you're walking in the same field for days. But I always think, sure, it'll take them longer to find me. I might as well just keep walking.
That was it. There. I thought of Eric, and I'm like looking around, like you know, could barely see him. Like he couldn't land a helicopter in here, so I better keep on.
They'll have to walk you, and you have to walk you out anyway. I'm like, you have to go this way, but humiliated.
Yep, that is the exact same conversation I have myself. Like I may as well just keep walking, because if they just, I also kept thinking they're just going to look at this one dot by itself and just keep going in circles.
Oh, you weren't the only one that night, Seán.
They're in the van going, that poor gobshite.
I know, they're probably looking at him like, oh, how long before we have to go rescue this guy?
So you keep on going. You cross a river at some stage.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, it depends on where you cross the river. Like I said, every time I've done it, I've had to cross the river at different points. But yeah, you try and cross it at the safest point, I suppose. But yeah, I think I crossed it twice last year, whatever way I went. But it was pretty heavy. It's pretty full.
I remember crossing the river twice, and I was like, I don't know if I shouldn't have crossed the river twice, if that makes sense, whatever way I went.
Yeah.
And then after that, then it's a lot harder to. Well, I ended up finding a group of people, and they were just as lost as I was, and like end up near different fences.
That's even worse.
How hard is it to find, like as it's still getting darker, starting to get bright, that right exit to get out of, instead of being like another field, a field with cows, and you're afraid there's a bull in there, another field, whatever's going on, because it's still like there's farmyards around there. It's a working farm there as well. Like that's why one of the many reasons why they only allow up to 200 people. Is there a point where you're starting to worry you're near that right exit onto the road towards checkpoint 2?
Yeah, so there's a little gate. You obviously weren't at the little gate. You didn't make it that way. You were further off the other side to the right, were you?
Yeah, I was more to the right at that stage. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
It was nearly in Scotland at that stage.
the gate is like to the left, and it kind of comes into a little forest. So it's kind of beyond a little dip, so you can't. There's no way, you don't see it until you're upon it nearly. Like, so you can't really. You're kind of, if it's a clear night, turn off your torch and you could see the outline of the forest in front, so you're kind of generally going the right way. But that wee little gate, now that forest has now been felled, so if anybody has done it last year that's going to go back this year, that forest isn't there anymore, so your landmarker is now disappeared.
Oh wow. So
you have
anybody
that is going to be one of the greatest nuggets if anyone's listening to this, because that information, and I know because we've done it through different exercises, that little bit alone will confuse so many people in the dead of night towards the end.
Yeah, there's a little bit of forest left over to the right. So if people are thinking, oh, that's the edge of the forest, that should be to their left, they're going to be gone the total wrong way. So no forest.
Oh, wow.
The forest is not there.
Jeez, that's a big game changer. All right. So you find that gate, straight in the main road.
That gate.
And then you are, I think it's less than a kilometer away from checkpoint 2. And from here, I am lost. I know Arts Cross is 4K. Sorry, is a couple of 4K after checkpoint 2. I think it is, going up the hill.
Around that. Yeah.
I went up there a couple of months later just and I went a completely different way just to see Arts Cross. I remember looking at that field from where checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2 is, and like seeing the different entrances and be like, I couldn't even pick out where I was lost. I know I went really high up and then really low back down again. I know I went like that, but I was completely lost. When I got to checkpoint 2, they were saying they couldn't see Arts Cross from where we were. It was real foggy. And they said if you struggle with navigation between checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2, you're going to find it incredibly more difficult to continue and get to Arts Cross and obviously get to the finish of Glenmalure. Would you, having done that 3 times, would you agree with that statement that it's even trickier navigation, or was that just like Seán, just as well as a lot of people there, just it's not your day, stop, pal, you've missed the checkpoint, you're done?
Yeah, the cross, like on a bright day during the day, you can see it from 3K out. Just generally follow it. But in the dark, and especially last year, there was no visibility. Like, we were upon it before we could see it. Like,
oh, wow.
But like navigation, I find the first bit harder. Like the checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2, I find that navigation, if you can nail that, there's more markers for the second part. So you're kind of like, okay, well, we're at checkpoint 2. Let's get to the little gate. Then you're kind of following the river pretty much all the way down to the plaque. And then it's like a very, very steep, somewhat slippery climb, like up along a wee little waterfall, and then up to the cross. And then but it's harder, not impossible, and it still is. It's harder to get lost.
Right.
Because you have the river. If you can keep the river on to your right, and you can keep along the river, cross at a safe point, get down to the plaque and up to the cross, there's a little, there's a few more little landmarks there that are easier to pick out and follow.
I feel a little bit happy knowing that I remember looking at the map beforehand and saying stick to the river to get close to the Arts. Now you're probably looking at the map going, well, obviously you stick to the river, Seán. That's 101.
Well, some people go up the other way, but yeah.
For me, I was like, I remember looking at that and going, right, stick to the river, up to the cross, and then I actually can't remember what I said to myself from there, what I was supposed to do, get from there on then towards the finish. I'm not just saying that now, but I do remember sticking to the river. There was some no, I'm lost. I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore. I continue talking. Obviously, I didn't get that. Actually, I remember thinking it was something that I got to the cross. Like, there's Beck all pathway there. To get anywhere, there's nothing there. So I would have been wrong. I would have got lost again.
Yeah, so the cross is one thing, and there's like, before, you used to have to get to the cross. You used to just go from checkpoint 2 to the finish, like whatever way you wanted. Then it was like, oh, you have to get in within 400 meters of the cross, and your tracker would bing in, and then you'd know so you didn't have to get to it. But the last year and this year now, you have to get to it because you get a little. Last year we got a little bracelet. This year we get a little buff. So you have to have them presented at the end, and it's just a way for them to check in that everybody's accounted for. Like, so it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And so, what do you use to get from the cross on towards the finish?
So yeah, I said like I use everything and anything at my disposal. So I would check my bearing on my compass, and I have that checked, and I like right, it's it's there, it's that way in through the cloud, in through the dark, and then I have a GPX on my watch, and then I have the hiker app. So like I'm not too proud to use it all. To use it all. I don't want to. I don't want to get lost.
Well, the thing is finishing, like, and when
Yeah.
they drove me to the finish line, which really hurt. I was talking to guys there. I was talking to guys that were they were in the army, and they were like, I was like, oh, well, they clearly know because they got navigation skills and to get where they got there. And they're like, yeah, no, but the GPX and the watch really helped. And I'm like,
It
back in
helps.
a lot of people,
Yeah.
I whether they use it as a guide or use it to watch the whole way through. I was just I want to say naive to be like, I don't want to use the watch. I don't want to use this. I want to read the maps and stuff and have an idea and go through it. And I hadn't got time to recce and all this stuff and all these excuses for not doing what I did that day. You are obviously putting the work in, getting out there and seeing how
Yeah.
to go from step to step.
Yeah, like if you want to use the map and compass and just do that, like that's yeah, like but you need to get out and make your mistakes
Mm.
on the recce's. Like if that's what someone wants to do, yeah, get out and make your mistakes and figure it out, and then you'll know going out with a map and compass when you've opened it up the day before. I mean,
The day of.
Not only that, Ciara, at least you did a course. He might as well have been looking up a horse's arse. He didn't even
what
know what
is
he
this?
was looking at.
It's so
You couldn't.
I remember the week of talking to someone about it, and I was like, you've got, checkpoint 1 is like 4 hours, and I'm gonna do that, and then checkpoint 2, and it was 7:30 the next day, so that's 8.5 hours to get 43K. I'm like, if I haven't got 43K in 8.5 hours, I've done something terribly wrong, which I didn't. I did a lot of things terribly wrong. So
Yeah, well, it's easily done. It's easily done. Don't beat yourself up.
some year I get it right. So you get through on then towards the finish then. Is it
Yeah, so you're trudging through from Arts Cross then down towards Table Track. That's where you're aiming for now. That's your next landmark, I guess. And that's what you're going for. So it's yeah, it depends on what way you want to take it. But again, it's your kind of climb is done, so that's great. That feels good once you're at the top of the cross. There's not a lot more climb to do. You're just trudging through bog again, more bog, more holes, more wet. I'm really selling this, am I?
You really wow, people are signed up to win now for this year.
But yeah, you're aiming for Table Track. Well, that's what the way I would go. And that when you see that, because generally it's starting to get bright at that stage, so like you can kind of see a little bit more, visibility is getting a bit better, and that feels so good when you're on that and you can move your legs again and you can not very fast, but you can move, get the blood going again. You're getting a bit cold, getting a bit tired. It's been a long night. It does feel good to put the feet onto hard ground, not the soft bog that you've been on for the last how long? 6 hours.
Yeah, and then you're on the home straight from there.
You're
Or the
done it.
saw.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you're home and holes. You just have to, keep the head going and keep nutrition coming in. Like I know, like first time I did it, I nearly stopped eating too early because I was like, sure, we're nearly done. We're nearly done, but you're not. Like you're not nearly done, but your navigation's done. So it's just straight on down then into Glenmalure. Can't make a mistake.
Wow.
You've never seen Seán.
Speaking of the food and nutrition, did you take the hot meal when you got to Capure?
Oh, what did I take? No, I think I had soup when I got to Capure. I couldn't eat I don't know, I had loads of different types of food, but I think I had soup and a bread roll. I had my own bit of food. But at checkpoint 2, there's porridge and coffee. And that is so nice. I would, if anyone's doing it, just take it. Take it on, because it's nice to get a hot feed. You're probably soaking wet, feeling a bit. So the coffee and the porridge and the poor little scouts that they have out dishing it out to you, just be nice to them. They're out there all night as well. They're only like 14, 15, 16 years old.
Jeez, fair play to them.
I know.
That's incredible.
So they're dishing it out. So yeah, take it in. It's lovely, and then it just keeps you going for the next little bit. So yeah, take on whatever's on offer, really.
Yeah, and then straight on through then to the finish. Here, is there anything we haven't touched on in terms of this is what people should definitely know if they're doing it this upcoming Friday?
Trying to think now, is there anything like definitely? I would just get yourself organized this week, like get everything done, mark off your kit, all the little bits and pieces. Try and get the prep done, so then Friday you don't really have all that to worry about. Label everything in the bag, when you're taking it out, and put it in an order in which you'll be taking it out. Just can't be organized enough, because you get into Pure, that's the only time you're having your bag, like, so you don't have a bag after that. So just have everything laid out and labeled. This is even just as basic as leggings, top, rain jacket, socks, so you don't forget anything, or spare gloves, dry gloves. Have them all labeled, and then you can just throw them into your pack, like. So yeah, that's what I would do. Just get organized. And if you haven't been out for a recce, get out for a recce. Get out. Make the time. Either go first thing in the morning or after work or something. Get out, even if it's a little bit, just to get a feel of where you're going. Even if it's just a bit of forest, just for your head, just so you know where you're at. So they're the things I would recommend for the night. Not so much, just the prep in between now and then, like, yeah.
The best of it, I've never done Art O'Neill, but we've done a little bit of stuff over the mountains. The best bit of advice I could give anyone is act early on it. If you're starting to sweat too much, it's time to take off a layer.
Yeah.
Don't say I'll give it 500 meters. It's a race through the night. It's not a 10K. So if something's chafing you, act on it there and then. Change the sock, do whatever, even just one sock, just change something, put Vaseline on something. Because the earlier you act on something, the better off you're going to be in an hour or two's time, the more comfortable you want to be. It's a tough event. It is a really tough event. I'd be terrified to do it myself, but it's one thing that, like, I think there would be the bits of advice, like when you're going uphill, you're going to be using more energy, you're going to be heating up, so it's time to dress down. And when you're coming downhill, it's time to dress up. That's when you're going to get the chills. And it's just little elements like that can help people. But and like that, as Ciara has alluded to, eat early. When you need the food, it's too late. So always be nibbling, enjoy it, and just maintain that consistent pace. And it's a race of consistency. It's for the average Joes. For Seán, it's 7 right turns to finally take a straight run. But it's the best bit of advice I can give to anyone who's doing it. Again, with the gear prep and everything, is make sure you're doing these things right and doing things early. A lot of people you'll see with their rain jackets on, starting to run, and out of Dublin Castle, you're like, you're going to be sweating in 2 minutes. Anticipate you're going to be moving quicker over the ground and stuff, and dress appropriately. Last year was a washout, so I don't think there was anything you could do at any point to get warm, but it's just play to what you can. And that's the best advice I can give anyone in terms of the hills and navigation. I just remember, Seán, as I met you at that first checkpoint and you were heading off, and I was walking back to the car going, if I could trade places with anyone at that moment, I probably would have done it for you there and then, because I knew you were going to be in a world of hurt. But hopefully anyone listening has gotten so many nuggets out of this, Ciara. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I would agree though with you, Eric. Just deal with it. Deal with whatever problem it is. Deal with it immediately. Do not leave it, and keep eating. Even if it's just nil nibbles. Like, I'm devil further to if you get cold. Oh, I couldn't be arsed getting it out of my pack, or we have to take off my glove to get in at that. But just do it. Eat it, and if just keep on top of it, and then that's the only way to get you through it, get you through the night.
I didn't think you guys could point out another mistake I made last year, but that was pretty much it. Like, deal with it later. This is just miserable. I get there when I get there. I take off this layer, and then I was like, yeah, I'm too warm now. I had to get warm all of a sudden because I threw so many layers after that 25K when it was soaking wet, whatever. I think I just like all the layers I had went on. I was like, just. And then after that, then you start getting more wet because you're sweating in it and it is rain and it's not waterproof enough. And sure, look.
Yeah,
Ciara,
it's that.
thank you very much for coming on to the podcast
No
and giving
problem. Thank
people a
you.
proper insight into the art of Neill this year. So I don't feel like a fraud and trying to wing my way to tell people what to do when I don't. I know more now after listening to you, and I will keep applying next year until I eventually get in, and I'll eventually talk about my success one of these days. But your success coming up this week, you and your brother and sister, it's gonna be class. Best of luck.
Yeah, I'm excited. Very good.
I hope you get great weather for it, Ciara.
Fingers crossed.
And best of luck to anyone listening to this week's episode of the podcast that's doing the Art of Neill as well this coming up Friday. That's it for myself, Ciara, and Eric. Take care.
Thank you.
I hope it's freezing.
Me too.